Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, we're going to be doing some training, and I want to cover, we're going to see what we can get to today. So I want to go over, Parody had actually asked about some of the stats on knowing which stats matter and when to kill, when to scale, or when to just leave it running. So I want to show a couple stats that I like to pay attention to when I'm doing my ads. And for each of my ad accounts that I run, I always set up a specific number of columns, and they're the columns that tend to matter most. And I have a very specific order that I do them in, and then I look for certain things. Now, I use about 27 different columns when looking at my ads manager. So there's never any one way to do it, and there's never there's not. I wish there was a true rule. I've tried to think of it to where I come out with like a calculus formula and put all the put like a rule in there that if this is over this number and this is under this number, then just automatically do this. I haven't figured that out yet, so it still takes it takes a couple hours, and it takes time to look at the columns, and at first it'll take a lot longer to digest all the information because you'll be looking at a lot of information at once. And so when I first started, what I would do is I would only look at 1 or 2 ads at a time. So sometimes I might run 10 to 100 ads, but looking at all that data at once can get really overwhelming, especially in the beginning. And so I would just look at just one ad at a time, keep it simple, and then make the decision from there. And it's all practice, progress, not perfection. You just got to practice. And the more and more you do it, the faster and faster you get. It's almost, I traded stocks for a little bit a long time ago, and I remember when I would look at a stock chart, it would take me a couple minutes looking at one stock chart to make a decision if that was a good stock to trade. But then I knew I saw this one guy doing it, and he literally would look at charts for less than a second, and he would just click through them, click, 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 and he just automatically knew because he had been doing it for so long. And so I know I move fast a lot, but if you move at your own pace, and everyone, don't compare yourself to anyone else. Always try to get better than you were yesterday. If you always are better than you were yesterday, you're going to be successful. This is a long-term play. We're building assets here. So as you're building a business, as you're building a brand, you want to think, even if you're not getting the results you want right now, that 6 months down the road, you're going to look back and you're going to be like, oh, man, I can't believe I worried that much. Like, I was watching the video when I won the Camaro the other day, and I gave a speech on stage after I won it, and I was saying how there were so many nights when I was sick to my stomach, and I remember I'd look at my ad screen, I'm like, what did I do? Why did I quit my job? Did I make the right decision? And just in the pit of my stomach, just the most nauseous feeling ever. I remember 3 specific times. The first time I hired somebody, and I was like, wow, now I'm responsible. It's actually my little brother, and I was like, now I really have to get results because I'm responsible for somebody's paycheck now. And sometimes it's kind of sickening at first, and it's overwhelming, but you learn to deal with it, and you learn how to overcome. I know for me, when the pressure is on, I perform. When the pressure is on, the more pressure there is, because I have to. That's why I like doing these lives, because I have to be able to figure it out. It's the pressure of, okay, well, I have to do this, and so I'm just going to figure it out. Sometimes you see we get errors while we're doing these live webinars, and that's what happens when you're doing Facebook. And so that's why I want to show you guys live, so it doesn't look like I'm perfect, because no one's perfect. We all make mistakes, and I know I've made mistakes, and sometimes when I do 100 ads, 1 or 2 of the links is just incorrect, and that's what happens sometimes, and we all make mistakes. So don't worry about anything, but let me go over some of the columns today. And I did, before I get started, and if you have any questions, just post them in the comments. And can you guys hear me and see my screen? Can you put a 1 in there if you can see me and hear my screen? Yeah, hear me and see my screen. I just want to make sure that everyone can see me. Perfect. Okay, cool. So I want to jump into this Google Drive right here. I shared it on the this pinned post at the top. I will be updating this as the course goes on with any additional information or any additional resources. So we have the webinar schedule. Obviously, you guys were able to get into that one. And then this is the members area with all the replays. This folder right here, instead of having a bunch of different documents, I just made a folder for us. And then I have a couple documents right here. I'm going to try to take some notes today while I'm doing this. And then, and if you guys are taking notes during it and you want to update to the Google Drive, just send me the in a private message on Facebook. Just send me a message and I will look over the notes and then I can upload them to here. That way we can share between all of us. And then I'm going to this one right here, this was the split test that we did the other day. I am going to come up with a formula. I'm going to put the formula inside a thing of notes. I'm going to work on that, try to get to it by the end of today, and put in so that if you want to send a document like this to like a VA or somebody, that way it can be explained really well. And then we have some images. All the images that I do, those are images that I've done. These are images that I have never launched yet. This one I did, but these are images if you guys want to just use those. Those who take action get rewarded. So anyone that wants to use those. And then these are all, again, feel free to use these. These are all the examples that I did in the free webinars and then maybe some of the paid ones as well. And feel free, again, copy anything I do. We're still a pretty tight-knit group right now, so, and that's what I want to keep it at. And so that way, if 1 to 3 of you take action and actually launch some of these ads, you could very well get some success from it. So we're going to jump into my Power Editor right here, and then we're going to go into columns. And I'm just going to make a new column for us so you can watch exactly what I do. So you can see like performance to targeting and creative. These are all the columns that Facebook automatically comes up, but they don't have necessarily what we want to see. So we want to go into customize columns. We're going to just make a new set today. So I'm going to exit out all these, start from scratch. So what we want to do is we want, first we want to do frequency. That frequency is how many times people see our ad. Generally, and again, all these stats that I'm saying, nothing is 100%, and it's all kind of relative. So if you have one stat that's completely bad, but all the other stats are good, you probably have a good ad. And so don't take anything 100%. There's always exceptions to the rule. And the #1 most important stat on this is ROAS, return on ad spend. So if you're making money and none of the other stats look right, as long as you're making money, that's fine. Now, if you're not making money yet, and a lot of times the first day or two that you launch an ad, you're definitely not making money, even the first month that you do it or first couple weeks. So you want to look at, there's other things that we can look at to make sure that our ads are doing good. So frequency is one. Try to stay under about 1.4. Your ad will start getting tired when you're at 1.4 or higher. We use tired, but that means that people are seeing it more than once. Now, I've had ads that are at 1.6 and still make money. But once you get to the 1.4, sometimes you're paying a little bit too much, and it's almost better to make your same ad but make a variation about it like I've done on my keychain ads that you saw. Just change the ad around, maybe change the ad copy around, change something around so that they're not seeing the same thing over and over and over again. So frequency, and then impressions and reach. Now impressions are how many times your ad is shown, and you can always just go right over right here and then it'll say the number of times that your ads were on screen. So impressions is how many times your ad was shown. Reach is how many people actually it reached. So all frequency is impressions over reach. Yeah, impressions over reach. And so I would pretty much always don't cut your ads until you get a 500 impressions. Once you get 500 impressions, you'll get your relevancy score, which again, even though you have a 10, it doesn't always mean it's going to be successful. But generally, you want to aim for 9s and 10s. If you have an 8, and 8 is pretty much like the low end that I shoot for. If it's not above an 8, I usually don't keep it around. 7s, in very rare circumstances, I say about 1 in 10. 7s actually end up to be profitable, and then anything under 7, I would just cut that. Those are probably spending too much money. And then, yeah, you want delivery. I like to put delivery first, actually. And then we want relevancy score. Now, when you're looking at your ad set there's campaign, ad set, and ads. When you're looking in your ad set, you're not going to see the relevancy score because your relevancy score is based on the ad. So if you have 5 ads to one ad set, you have to go into the ads to look at the relevancy score. Now, ads optimize on the ad set level. So whenever you duplicate an ad that's already been running, you always want to duplicate it from the ad set level. That is where 70% of the optimization comes in. The other 30% is from how seasoned your pixel is. So if you have a super seasoned pixel, then sometimes it's easier to optimize quicker. But if you have an ad that's doing good, always duplicate at the ad set level. That is where the algorithm for optimization comes in, at the ad set level. Very important there. And positive and negative feedback doesn't matter. Amount spent, I like to see amount spent, so we're going to put that again right at the beginning. And then we want clicks, all, we want cost per click and click-through rate. And those are just clicks. So if somebody likes it, if somebody hides it, if somebody shares it, that's a click. And then the clicks are generally where a lot of times when you can get super cheap clicks, that means it's an engaging post because people want to just click on it. It's an active type of post, and so Facebook, many times if you can get a really low cost per click, your click or your ad will end up doing better and have a higher relevancy rating because clicks are where a lot of the how Facebook determines how viral a post is or how well it's doing. And then we want cost per result. Now we want that at the beginning, right after amount spent. And then CPM, that's important. I like that right after reach. That's cost per 1,000 impressions. And then I've done page likes before. It doesn't really matter to me. Those are all organic anyways. Post shares aren't a bad thing to look at. I just look at the post itself. But getting shares out of likes, comments, and shares are the most important. Like if you do a worldwide ad, we can get likes for super cheap on a worldwide ad. Generally, they won't necessarily share it. So when you see a post that has 1,000 shares, if you're doing research on a good post and you just type into Facebook like watch free shipping, and then you look for other people that are selling watches, then the shares are the most important out of the likes and shares and comments. Shares are the most important. They're the hardest to get, and they're the best determiner whether you have a cool post. Because, like, think about when you're making a post, when you're making your Facebook post for your ad, think about times that you've shared posts with friends. You might see a video, and that video made such an impact on your life, whether it's whether it made you cry, whether it made you laugh, whether it jacked you up for the day, made you motivated. Maybe it's something really cool that you just really want to buy. Whatever it is, that emotional reaction to that post that makes you, I have to show a friend right now because I have to share this moment because that was such a cool experience of watching that post or looking at that image. Shares that's what you want to think about when you're making your posts is, would I share this with, is this so cool? That's the ones that do really, really well. Like when you saw my ad that I paid $16 for and I got 500,000 views on it, that's something that when people see that, they have to show somebody else because it elicits emotional reaction out of the viewer. So you can do post shares if you want, especially if you're starting out. Post shares aren't a bad thing to look at because you're generally going to be launching PPE ads, and so sometimes it's faster just to look at the shares, but it's a very low. It's not. Don't look at that as a big indicator. I don't even like to put that on my stats because I don't want it to mess with my head when I'm looking at all my numbers. Cost per share. Whenever I look at like clicks, then I want cost per clicks because I don't want to have to do the math on it. Now, video watches, these are good to have. So I like to do video watches at 75%, and then if you're doing lots of video ads, you can just select the preloaded column that Facebook makes. It's called like I don't want to exit out of this because it'll lose all these columns, but it's called like video engagement or whatever. And so generally I don't add all these to it because it'll just tell me I can just switch over to the video engagement and see how good my video is getting. But looking at the 75% and then the video percentage watched or the average watch time, those are both good indicators of how well your video is doing it, because your video might be getting really good engagement, but if people are only watching an average of 25% of your video, that's not good for Facebook's algorithm. That's why I like to keep the videos at about 60 seconds to 120 seconds, because not as many people on Facebook, how Facebook's platform works, each social media platform connects with a little bit different of an audience. So on Facebook, generally people are on their break at work, or they're just bored maybe in the elevator or waiting to pick somebody up. It's something quick that you just go to check out. Some people spend a lot of time on Facebook, but generally in a given instance, in a given Facebook open, you're probably not going to watch most people don't watch like a 5 to 15-minute video on Facebook, very rarely. Much less rarely. Like on YouTube, if you're doing YouTube videos, you want the best videos for YouTube are 11 to 20 minutes long on YouTube. That's the audience on YouTube. Now Snapchat is like 10 seconds. So each platform's a little bit different, but that's why on Facebook I like 60 seconds to 120 seconds, because if people watch our video 75% of the time or more, Facebook looks at that as a good engaging video and will continue to show it to people, and then actually even put it in the suggested videos or like the automatic play videos after somebody watches one. So I like to look at 75%. That's not a bad one to look at. Now I don't put it in my stat column because I do a lot of image ads as well as video ads, and so I don't put that in my column. Like I said, I just go over here to Facebook's preloaded columns and I just go to video engagement, and that will give me all the video stats I need if I'm doing a video ad. Now, link clicks are highly important. Whenever you're first doing ads, if you're in the very beginning stages, what I told myself, and this is how I got trained, this is exactly what I do for every single client I work with. The first step in launching ads is running traffic to your store. Don't worry about the purchases. Don't worry about the add to carts. Just worry about getting traffic to your store. You need to get people in your store to figure out what's going to happen, to see data. Maybe you get a bunch of people to your store and no one buys. Then you know at that point, okay, now I know how to advertise. I know how to get people to my store. Now I need to switch around my website or my product or my offer because people aren't buying it once they see it. But in the beginning, don't worry about, hey, I'm not making money. Worry about how cheap are my link clicks? How many people am I getting to my store per day? That is the first step in everything. My goal whenever I do a new pixel or a new store, my first step is to get 100 visitors to the store. Generally, I like to get 500 people to the store before I even mess with add to carts, but it's a little bit more expensive. I usually tend to somewhere between 100 visitors and 500 visitors is when I start focusing on getting add to carts on the store and at least getting people to click the first button in the funnel, whether it be add to cart or like the next step in a ClickFunnels or webinar registration, whatever it is. But at first you just want to get traffic to your website or your store, and then after you get about 100 to 500, then you want to start worrying about converting that at least for the first step of your process, getting the add to cart, getting the webinar, getting the email, whatever it is. So we're going to do link clicks, and we're going to do link click-through rate. Now on a PPE ad, generally you're going to have under 0.5% link click-through rate, and you want that but once you start doing conversion ads, you want a click-through rate at about 1%. 1% is a good click-through rate. Not saying that 0.7 or 0.8 or 0.9% can't make money, but I generally try. That's why I like launching lots of ads at once, because then I have more to pick from when I'm choosing whether to scale or to launch. When you only launch 5 ads, you may want to just keep one going because you're like, oh, it's doing really well. But if, let's say you had 100 ads running and you were looking at 100 ads, I'm sure out of 100 there's going to be one that's better than out of 5. And that's why I like doing a lot, because I have more to choose from. It's almost like a draft in football or basketball. If you're the first round draft pick, you get to choose a lot of different football players, versus the 10th round draft pick, you don't have much to choose from anymore. So link click-through rate, I tend to look over 1% for a conversion ad. But then you also got to think there's always a catch-22 to everything. Let's say your CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions, is extremely high. Well, if it's, and you're like how you saw how some of my CPMs are like 50 cents. Well, if your CPM is $5, and so it's costing you more money to show it to 1,000 people, then you want a higher click-through rate because your CPM is so high. So maybe you want a 2 or 3% click-through rate because it's costing you more per person to show it to. So the click-through rate is the percentage of the people that have seen it that are clicking through. Now, if you have a 10-cent CPM, that means for every 10 cents you get to show your ad to 1,000 people, your click-through rate could be 0.5% because you're showing it to so many people. You don't even need very many people to click on your ad, or you don't need very big high percentage because the amount of people that you're showing it to is far exceeds what a normal ad would be. Now, does this make sense? I'm trying to explain it in a way that would make sense, but is this making sense, guys, with the click-through rate? Like I said, there's always an exception to the rule, but at least with the click-through rate, what I was just talking about, does it make sense to shoot for a 1%, but depending on what your CPM is, cost per 1,000, you want to vary what you're looking through in your click-through rate? Yes, Lewis. I will be. This is going to be in the replay in the members area. I just uploaded a couple other ones recently to the members area, and this one will get up within about 24 hours. Because after this, I have to render it, then I have to download it, then I have to re-upload it to another service, and then I have to put it into the members area. So it takes me a while to do it because there's all timing and stuff. So it all depends on the internet, but it should be about 24 hours. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so yeah, I hope that makes sense. And again, if you ever have any questions about any of these videos, please put it in the group area in comments. I'm trying to get to that a couple times a day if I can, but at least once a day I'll be checking that in the members area. That's my priority right now. Most of my clients run their own pages, so other than my personal Facebook page, it's the group. The group is actually #1 priority, and then my personal Facebook page. Business over work, business over personal. But anyway, so we want click-through rate, link click-through. There's one other one. What am I missing? Cost per link click. That's what I'm missing. Cost per link click right there. So I like to do link clicks, cost per link click. Actually, I like to do click-through rate first. Okay, so and then what else do we need? We need so right here, this is website conversion. So depending on what type of service you have, I'm going to be doing this example for a drop shipping store. And so for a drop shipping store, conversions, add to carts, and purchases is what I look for. Now, if you're doing a webinar, and then you want to be looking for, first is page views, landing page views right here. And then you want to be doing either, depending on how you have your pixel set up, because you can do custom pixel fires, or you can you could put an add to cart pixel on a webinar thank you page. It doesn't matter where you put your pixel, unless you have, like, if you have one of those preloaded, like Shopify, they automatically put the pixel on each of the pages for you. It integrates really nicely. If you're doing ClickFunnels, you have to manually put the pixel in there. So you can put whatever pixel you want. Even when I'm working with clients, I just use the add to cart pixel for everything, or not for everything, but for like thank you pages and stuff, because my columns are already optimized for add to cart. So even though it's a webinar registration, you can put an add to cart pixel on that. I only do it it's probably better to do a webinar registration or website registration because it makes more sense. But I just I like that's just my way of doing it. But so do website conversions. You want website add to carts or website like I said, do landing page registrations, and then purchases. Of course, we want purchases. And in the beginning, it's not a bad idea to have ads of payment info and website checkouts, because think about it this way. So you want to think about your funnel as a whole. So if you're getting traffic to your website and no one's adding to cart, that means that your product page, the first page that you're sending people to with the add to cart button, is not well. It must be your price. Maybe it's your price. maybe it's your product description, maybe it's your title, maybe it's your images, maybe it's your store layout, whatever it is. You know at that point, if you're not getting add to carts, it's got to be one of those 5 things, because that's the hurdles between the ad. The ad determines whether you're going to get link clicks or not. The ad on Facebook determines the link clicks, and that's what website conversions are. The website add to carts are determined by your price, your product, your product description, your title, your website layout, and your price, if I didn't say that already. And then if let's say you're getting add to carts, and break it down into pieces, break it down into bite-sized pieces. This is what I did for myself. So first 100 traffics, then 100 add to carts. Then if you're getting add to carts but you're not getting checkouts initiated, maybe there's something in the way there. Maybe it's because on your cart page, maybe it's a slider bar to where you click the add to cart button right here, and then something pops out on the right side of your screen and has your cart right here. Well, they may not click this button because maybe they want to shop more, or maybe what you have is once they click the add to cart, they're automatically being taken to a cart screen and they don't check out because they wanted to add more, and then they go add more and then they get distracted or whatever. So try different things out, but it goes conversions, add to carts, then adds a payment, or then checkouts initiated, then adds a payment info. So if you get your checkouts initiated but people aren't adding their payment info, maybe it's your shipping price. Or maybe it's your checkout page. Maybe you don't have enough trust badges in your checkout page. Maybe somebody thinks it looks ghetto, and they might think that it just looks like a scam site, and that they don't trust your site enough to put their credit card information in. Because we all know the news is always talking about hackers and Russian hackers and Experian getting hacked and Yahoo getting hacked and all these different companies getting hacked. You have to develop enough trust with your customer in about 30 seconds or less for them to put their credit card information into your website. And so maybe you need more trust badges. Maybe you need to switch the colors around. Blue is a very trusting color. If you have red, red's not always the best color to use on a checkout page. I like to use light grays and light blues on my checkout page. And then for the buttons, I use either yellow or green buttons, because like you think about Amazon, Amazon uses yellow buttons. Chances are your customers probably purchased on Amazon before, so if you use a yellow button, you may be able to, it'll look more familiar to your customer and they'll feel more comfortable in buying. If you have a purple button, they're probably not going to buy your product, or they might, it just may not optimize as good, but test different things out. So website conversions, add to carts, and purchases. That's what we want to be looking at. This is for a dropshipping example. And then you want cost per website conversion, cost per add to cart, and cost per purchase. Now what I do is then I switch these to cost per conversion, cost per add to cart, and then website purchases. And then I do website purchase ROAS, return on ad spend, most important thing, how much profit are you getting from your ads. And then I like to do this, website add to cart conversion value and website purchase conversion value. Oops. Now let me explain what these are. So what website add to cart conversion value is it's the amount of money, the amount of products, or the amount of money that is in your cart when they add to cart, because we know that not everyone that adds to cart is going to buy your product. So if people aren't, so what I like to look at is how many sales I missed. Let's say my add to cart conversion value is $500 and I've only made $100 in sales. That means that there's $400 out there that customers liked my product enough to put it in their cart, possibly even put their email address in, and for whatever reason they didn't buy my product. They're so close to buying, but they didn't buy it. And so we want to grab those customers back to our website. Now we can do that through retargeting. We can do that through abandoned cart emails. We can do that through push notifications. Like if you ever see like a tab up here and you leave the tab and then it says, hey, come back, come back, come back. You can do that. You can do emails. You can do retargeting on people that added to cart but didn't buy. That's just a custom audience, and we'll cover that maybe on Friday, maybe on another next week's topic. I'll get to all the topics eventually. I want to know what you guys are struggling with right now. So Parody had mentioned about the data, and so I thought it was a perfect time to go over some of the data points and some of the columns that I like to use. So, but we want to capture the add to cart, the add to carts, so that we know. So it's because those sales, it's not, they're a warm customer. They've already been to our store. They've already seen our ad. They've already clicked through a couple times. They've clicked our ad. They've clicked the add to cart button. Maybe they even put in their email. So they're so close to buying. You can if you have the correct marketing set up, you can get about 50% of those people back. So in my example, we had $500 in add to cart conversion value and $100 in website purchase conversion value. Well, then out of that $400 that's left over that people just left in their cart without buying, there's about $200 that we should be able to get back with correct remarketing. So you want to make sure, because they're so close. Maybe send them a 10% discount or a 20% discount, because an 80% or a 90% sale is better than no sale at all. It's better to take a cut, and as long as you're still profitable, you're still making money. So it's like in the car business when I sold cars. If a customer was like about to buy, didn't want to buy the car or whatever, well, it's better to give the customer maybe another $100 off or $1,000 off than have them and at least get a sale, maybe lower the commission, but at least get the sale than no sale at all, because then you just wasted I wasted my time in the like showing the car, but in this example you wasted your money on Facebook not getting the sale. So you want to get those add to carts back into the game. And then your website purchase conversion value. The reason I like to see that is because I want to see how much money of products I actually sold. Because say you run an ad and you only made one purchase on your ad, but what if that one purchase they did 2 upsells, or they added 3 items to the cart, or let's say they spent let's say you do drop shipping and it's a bunch of $20 products. What if they bought 5 products for $20? Then that's worth more than just one purchase. And so you want to look at website purchases, but you also want to look at the conversion value on how much money you're getting back. Now, what the website purchase ROAS does is, obviously they're not taking in the cost of your product. If you have like a drop shipping product, they don't know the shipping and the cost. But what's nice about ROAS is that you can instantly see, it'll do the math for you. So if you spent $10 in ad budget and you made $20, you have a 2-to-1, you have a 2.0 ROAS, return on ad spend, because you made $2 for each $1 that you spent. Now, I've never ran apps or whatever on Facebook, but there's tons of other conversions in here, and I just want to go over a couple other ones in here. So, because sometimes it just depends. These are the 24. I usually use 27, so let me go back over and add a few other ones in there. But these are the columns that I use, and I'm so used to these columns that I can pretty much glance at them and just scroll over and know exactly what I'm looking for, but that's because I'm comfortable with these columns. But depending on what your product is or what your plan is for your brand, you may want to look at different columns. So let me go over a couple other columns that are still important that you may want to use when you're looking at your data. So people taking action, that's not a bad one to use. I have used that one before in my column. I think that's actually part of my 27 columns. People taking action, that's a good one to use. I have looked at the positive and negative feedback, but in all reality, it doesn't matter. Even if you get, it's like I'm not saying in political affiliation. I don't want to get mixed up into that. But Trump has so much negative stuff come at him, but he still won the president. He still is the president of the United States. So whether it sounds backwards, but especially on social media, even if people don't like your post, sometimes that's not a bad thing, because it might be getting a higher, like it might be shown a lot to Facebook. It's just like when you see on YouTube, I have an app that shows me how many likes versus dislikes on a on a video. Well, there's this guy named Jake Paul, and he has over 10 million subscribers. He does a bunch of stupid stuff. It's almost like a Jackass video, like the Viva La Bam or Jackass from MTV, and he pretty much does videos like that. Well, he gets so much negative feedback, and people are like, oh, how can you do this? You're so irresponsible, all this stuff. There's so many people hating on him every day, but you know what? He makes $10 million a month. So while he's in his mansion on his boat driving his Ferrari, people are commenting on his posts and leaving negative comments. He doesn't care. Same with Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian gets a ton of negative comments, keeping up with the Kardashians. But you know what? Kim Kardashian sold $420 million worth of makeup on Instagram in 72 hours. So I'm sure when she's in Paris in her penthouse suite, she does not care about the negative comments she gets after $420 million in 3 days. So I personally don't care if I get negative feedback or positive feedback when it comes to my ads and stuff, as long as I'm delivering good value. And if there's people that want to hate on me, you know what? That they just add comments to my posts, so that's fine. Especially in today's age. So amount spent today, you can do that if you're doing lifetime budget. Typically, I do daily budget, not lifetime budget, but you can use amount spent today if you're doing a lifetime budget. It's not a bad idea. And gross impressions, this is a new one. There, like I said, there's always changing stuff on Facebook. What is this? Maybe this has to do with bots. People using bots. The unfiltered number of times your ads were on screen. Oh, maybe it's like if somebody scrolls past your ad and then they scroll up. Like, because like sometimes you might scroll past an ad and then you scroll up, and then there might be bots too, is what they're saying. I'm not sure on that one. I'd have to look into that. That's a new one. And oh, and so like I said, page likes. If you're just starting out a page, I suggest one page per niche. And so if you're doing drop shipping, have multiple pages. If you have a brand or a product, just do one page. But page likes might be something I have used that in my columns before. So page likes isn't a bad idea. And then like I said, post shares. That is definitely something to be looking at, especially in the beginning stages, because you may not be getting any add to carts or purchases right now. You might just be struggling to find a relevancy score of 10. So looking at the post shares is a good indicator of whether you're going to get closer or not to that 10 relevancy score. But leave your ads running, even if you have no idea what's going up, even if you think that your ad is sucking. At least in the beginning, let your ad go for 48 hours. On a PPE, that is. Eventually, you can get down to 24, but no matter what it is, I always let my ad go for 24. Even now, even if I think it's like a horrible ad, I let it go for 24 hours. Always, 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 always 24 hours. Most of the time it's 36 hours. I like to 36 hours because most of the time I'm launching them at midnight, and then by 36 hours, it's had another afternoon, which is the highest traffic on Facebook. But generally, 48 hours is a good time frame, especially in the beginning when you don't have much data. Once you have more pixel data on your pixel, then Facebook doesn't have to do as much guessing work because they're going to be taking previous data from your pixel and showing your ads to people that look like people on the pixel. They've already done some research for you. So in the beginning, though, Facebook has no idea who your market is. Even you put in that 2 million audience, well, that's 2 million people. Your ad might only be shown to 1,000 people a day or a few thousand people a day. So Facebook still has to guess out of those 2 million people who's the best person to show this ad to. And so post shares are, but always let it go for at least get 500 impressions, at least get a relevancy score out of it. And then if you have a 3 relevancy score, yeah, cut it. But at least get a relevancy score out of your ad before you stop it. And I know it costs money. This is an investment, guys. 10 years ago, if you wanted to open up a business, you needed to go get a business loan for a ton of money to open up, and you'd have to get a lease, maybe a couple $1,000s on your lease. You had to buy inventory, all this stuff. Shopify and Facebook ads are a very low barrier to get into, but you still need to invest some money. It's not just your first ad's not going to make you $10 million or $1 million. It's not going to happen that way. And you're still going to, I still struggle. Sometimes I work with clients and I'm like, man, how am I going to get this ad? But I just don't give up, and I always get them the results that they were looking for. But you just have to get creative, especially if you failed a bunch. Maybe walk away from your computer for a little bit and maybe put a song on or something, or watch a video, or watch one of these videos and be like, okay, let's get creative now. Let's think outside the box. Take yourself outside the box for a second, and sometimes those ideas will come to you. And that's exactly what happened with my $22,000 post. Like I remember it was one of my nights I was sick to my stomach. I had no idea what to do, and then I was like, I got it, snap, just idea, light bulb, and I made that post. And just right after I made it, I was like, that looks so amazing right there. And then it made me 20. Then all of a sudden, complete success. That's where everything started at. And so you just gotta, if you failed a couple times, get creative. Watch some videos. I used to watch like 5 hours of videos a day in the beginning. So I was working the whole time. I didn't hang out with any friends. I didn't go do anything. I didn't go nothing. I worked. And I didn't have a job because I had quit my job already. So I would literally, I'd watch like an hour of video, then I'd make an ad. Then I'd watch another hour of video, and then I might optimize my store. Then I'd watch another, and I was watching anywhere from 3 to 7 hours of videos a day. I was constant, because that's how you're going to learn, other than doing it. And there's only so much you can do in one day on Facebook without spending a ton of money. Yeah, you can make 1,000 ads in one day if you want, but then you might be out $1,000. So you got to balance it between knowledge and actually action. You don't want to just watch videos all day and not do anything, but at the same time you don't want to do a bunch of stuff if you don't know what you're doing. So there's a balance, and you'll figure that out, and you'll figure it out. And but yeah, so maybe in the beginning, post shares, put that on there, and then we want to look, and then of course you want to do cost per page like, and then cost per post share. I always like to do the cost per. And then, like I said, the 3-second to 10-second views are good, because then you can compare how many people just like look at the video real quick and then just cancel off, and then how many people actually watch it for 10 seconds. And then I like to look at 50%, 75%, and then average watch time, video percentage watch. Those are all three, or well, 6 now, good ones. And then you could, yeah, obviously cost is always good. I like that one. Not bad, unique. You can, if you have an ad that's been running for a while, sometimes unique link clicks aren't a bad idea, because if your frequency is at 1.4, you want to see how many unique is how many people. So it's like the impressions versus reach. Reach is how many people, impressions is how many times. So maybe one guy clicked your link 5 times or something. I don't know. What else? And then, like I said, you could do ads of payment info, and then checkouts initiated. If you're doing webinars, do leads and registrations completed. And then you want to do cost and cost. And then you could even do conversion value if you want. I would just, you don't want to get too many columns in there at once, because then you're just going to get overloaded. That's why I stick about I guess 24 or 27. I think the 27 I had one video stat, and then the people taking action on there too. And then those are the columns that I would use. There's a couple down here that I know aren't bad. Hang on. If you're doing manual bid, you can do the bid right there. Oh, budget. You definitely want budget. That's one that would have definitely, you need to have budget in there, especially once you start messing around with more expensive ads, or let's say an ad's working. Whenever an ad is working, if you are going to scale it, I'm going to get to that in a second, but do just raise the budget by 20%. So if you're doing a $5 ad, it's $6, then $7.20, then I think it's like $8.64, then like $9.85, I think I want to say, and then like $11.10. I used to have them memorized because I did it so many times, but do exactly 20%. And then you can just keep scaling it up every 48 hours. And imagine if you had an ad running for 30 days or 60 days or a year. Your ad set might get up to $100 or more. I've had $400 ad sets, and but just start out with $5 a day. I don't want to complicate it. Start out with $5 a day. If it's working, raise the budget by 20%, and then watch your stats. So you want to make sure your stats are still good. You don't, if you're raising your budget up and your price is increasing on everything, then it's not good. But if your price is increasing and your conversion rate's increasing, let's say your link clicks are getting more expensive, but a better percentage of the people that are clicking, maybe your conversion rate on your store, instead of being 2%, now it's on 5%. So that's why I was able to pay $1.64 for a link click and still be profitable, because those ad sets were converting at like a 10 or 15% rate. So my pixel was so smart that even though the link clicks were astronomical, I was still profitable. I like to pay for 10-cent link clicks, maybe 50-cent link clicks, definitely under $1. But like I said, I was profitable. So even though my link clicks were way too high, it was like 1 out of 10 people bought it. So Facebook knew so well, hey, this guy has a really good chance of buying your product. So we're just going to show this ad to him, and I know it's expensive for you, but we're going to show it to him anyways because you're optimizing for purchases. So who cares about how much the link click is if you're profitable? And Facebook's able to laser target that because I had already sold 1,000 of those keychains. So Facebook's like, okay, let's look for other people that quote unquote look like these people based on it's almost like it's like a personality profile, but Facebook has so much more data than any personality profile out there. Sometimes I like objective. Or no, not objective, I'm sorry. I was thinking that was result. Result is the objective would be for campaigns. Result is like, because if you have conversion ads going, say you have a view content conversion ad, an add to cart, and a purchase conversion, you want to know which of those are doing what, so you do the result. Cost per result. Did I have result up here? Thought I did. Oh, I definitely want result too, so I'm glad that we kept going. Ad set setting gender. And then you could do this, so that's nice when you're split testing lots of different things once you do find a winning product. So results, yeah. So like if you have multiple conversion ads going, and let's say you want to know which one's working best, because I know it doesn't make sense, but a lot of times in the beginning, an add to cart ad will actually make you more money than a purchase ad, because maybe you don't have enough purchases yet, or for whatever reason, when you do an add to cart ad, maybe your product is so cool that everyone that adds to cart buys the product. So instead of Facebook looking for purchasers, they just look for add to cart people, and your ad's actually going to be doing better looking for an add to cart. And so those are the columns that I like to use right there. And then you can go apply. And then right in here on columns, so you don't have to do that every time. I've messed up on this multiple times. I make it and then I forget to save it. Save your custom, and then you can say whatever you want to call it. Webinar custom. Perfect. So I want to answer any questions about anything that I went over. So if you have a question, I know I was trying to move slow, and I know there's a lot of high-level concepts there. So a lot of these videos, you may have to watch them again, maybe take notes while you're watching them. But I know there was a couple videos that I've watched before that I've had to watch like 3 or 4 times just because there was so much stuff in it and he moved so fast that I couldn't get it all in the first time, and I didn't even understand half the stuff he was talking about. So I'd watch it like a couple weeks later and be like, oh wow, that's really cool. And then a couple weeks later, and like I'd learn something new every time. And so that's the goal. I know I can move fast, and I can maybe I don't know everyone's skill level, and so I try to keep it open. But if you have any questions, post them in the group or in the comments, and I want to, and you may have to watch this again, and maybe you have to do ads for a couple of weeks, and then you can watch it again, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, that's why this happened, or now I'm understanding because you're seeing it. It's like you can be an astronaut, and to train for an astronaut, you do all this theoretical work and all this theoretical training, but you probably don't go in, you never know when you're going to actually be ready to go into space. But then once you go into space, you're like, oh, that's why I did that training, or that's why I did that training, and then you understand it. Just like in basketball or like sports, there's sometimes drills, and they're like, they have you do like some crazy drill that has nothing to do with basketball, and you're like, why am I doing this? But then once you actually are playing basketball, like, oh wow, that helped me, that drill helped me, even though it was like ballet for football players. Like, why would football players go play ballet? Well, because there's skills in ballet that might help you play football, because you're going to be lighter on your feet, you're going to be more agile. So I want to answer any questions in the comments if you have any. So I'm seeing, when you do the worldwide audience for video views, they may not be those who would buy. How do you consider for that in the 75% views retargeting? Does it matter? Great question. So whenever I'm starting a new pixel, I like worldwide targeting because it's so much cheaper. But you're right. Worldwide, people are not going to buy your product as much because Facebook's going to show it to China and India because there's so many people over there that it's much cheaper to get engagement from them than in the US. So this is what you do when you make your lookalike audience, and let's just go into that right now. When you go make your lookalike audience or your custom audience, when you go retarget, so okay, let me think how we're gonna do this. All you do is when you retarget them, you just only target in the United States. So when you select your country and you do the retargeting, you only retarget based on the United States. But what's cool is you can take that worldwide audience and you can take all that data from the worldwide, build a lookalike audience off that data. So let's say we're going to do custom audience. We're going to do engagement. We're going to do video. And then we're going to browse, let's do, I like 50% and 75. I do one of each, and then I split test it. We're just going to do 75. And then let's just choose, trying to think of a good example here. Oh, here we go. We'll use this one. So, so right here, we got this video. These were like a couple of my very first videos I did. That's why they don't even line up to my strategy, but they made money. So, and sometimes the shorter videos work better. But this was 6 months. This was literally like my maybe 10th ad that I launched. Okay, so we have videos now. Let's say some of these views are from worldwide people. They're not all from the US. So what we do is we make this audience, we confirm, and then I do 180, and then we'll just say 75% watch car stickers. Okay, so now we want to expand the audience to a lookalike audience. Now when you choose your country, you choose United States. Now your custom audience right now still is being built from a worldwide audience because we didn't select the country there. But in the lookalike audience, we're only going to choose the United States. So because we were able to buy really cheap engagement from the worldwide audience, now we're taking that data from the worldwide audience and using it in the United States audience. So we just literally cut our cost in about a tenth, maybe more, but we just paid 10% of what somebody else is going to pay to build that same lookalike audience of just people in the United States. And our audience is still going to be about 80% as powerful. Like it's not going to be, obviously, if you get your whole custom audience built from just the United States, Facebook's going to have a little bit more data and a little bit smarter about it, but the ROI on it is still going to be better. Like it's not going to, you're still going to have, this is what I do with all my clients. Whenever we're building a pixel and they're like, hey, we're getting all these likes from Iran and Egypt and all these weird. I'm like, no, just trust me, just let it go. And it's a strategy that I like to use in order to get much cheaper lookalike audiences, because lookalike audiences are one of the most powerful things in Facebook. And so the faster that you can get to a lookalike audience, the faster that you can get to 20 purchases, faster you can get to 100 purchases, the faster you're going to get success. Your first 100 purchases are by far the hardest purchases that you're ever going to get. You probably won't be profitable for your first 100 purchases unless you get really lucky or you have a high ticket item. Your first 100 purchases, you're probably going to break about even. You're gonna get out what you put into it. And so compared to like buying a McDonald's franchise for $1 million and waiting like 10 years, you're still doing pretty good if you can get that first 100 purchases maybe in the first 30 days or even the first 15 days, depending on how many ads you're launching at once. The more ads that you launch at once and the more money you have to allocate to Facebook for testing, the faster results you're going to get. And so but from purchase 101 to 1,000, you're going to make way more profit than anything you might have lost. All it takes is one ad that turns your life around. My one ad made up for 50 losers that I've had. Like actually, out of all the ads that I launched, because my store was still profitable by the end, I made about 8K on my store. By the very end of it, there's $8,000 profit out of 30K, and that's with costs and everything, and building a brand new store, which I thought was not very good. But when I talked to hello, hey guys, I am so sorry about that. my computer just crashed. I have a new computer in the mail, and this computer should work. It's got plenty of stuff, but no excuse. My computer crashed. I apologize for that, guys. Can everyone hear me? I don't know if you can see my screen right now, but can everyone at least hear me? Can you put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me? Okay, can you put a 2 in the comments if you can see my screen? Or a 3 if you can't. 2, you can see my screen right now. So we're going to go back to asset library. You can see my asset library right here. Okay, hang on. One second. Okay, can you see my screen? I'm going to type in, can you see my screen? Put a 1 if you can see my screen right now, please. Perfect. Okay, thank you guys. Sorry about that. I do have a new computer coming in the mail any day now. I just upgraded this because i7, 16 gigs of RAM. We just got a new hard drive. So, all right. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Wall. Thanks, Parody. Louis. Is it Louis or Louis? Okay, so let's get back to the custom audience. Let me figure out where I was at. Custom audience. Or no, we're going to do a lookalike audience. That's right. Okay, so what I was saying was, so I like to use the worldwide audience in order to get much cheaper. You can build a lookalike audience much cheaper. So yeah, so your first 100 purchases is going to be a lot harder, but once you can get from 101 purchases to 1,000 purchases, it'll make up for all your bad ads. Like I've probably launched hundreds of ads on my Shopify store, and maybe 10 to 15% were profitable, but that's all it takes, because what you do is you cut the losers, you scale the winners, and you keep the winners going, and you might have a winner going for 90 days. Well, if you're continuing to launch 5 to 10 ads a week and you cut the losers, you keep the winners going, well then after a year, after 3 months, after 2 months, you have a bunch of winners going, and you just keep testing products. You have to know that you're going to lose most of the time on Facebook. Statistically, with their ads, you're going to lose most of the time, but as long as you keep going, overall, you're going to win. That's why so many people are doing it, and that's why this is such a big market, is because of the potential of once you find that one product to scale. And I want to show you guys how to scale an ad. Maybe we'll do that unless I get a suggestion. I don't even think I had the scale thing in the outline for the course, but I do want to show you guys a few ways to scale ads, which probably only take like 10 or 15 minutes. And so we might do that on the next webinar with a couple other things that I'll figure out to go over. And if you have a suggestion, or if one of the topics that I outlined in the course description is one of the topics that you want me to cover next episode, please just put that into the Facebook groups. And then if anyone wants the upgrade package to the coaching, I have a few spots left at this current price. Next promo webinar I do, the price will be going up. But I do have, for those of you that have already bought into the training, if you would like the one-on-one coaching, we can upgrade you for just $14.97, and then that way I can get into your ads manager. You get my call, or you get my phone number. As many calls as you want. There's one student, and he is just he's scheduling back-to-back calls, and it's I'm gonna always make sure everyone gets the attention that they deserve. So you can have up to 3 calls scheduled at once, and but as many calls as you want. If you want to do it 3 days a week, and if you want to do it every day, and there's always spots available, and then it's up to you. If you just want to do it once a week, that's fine too. So whatever you guys want, I want to make sure I have time for everyone, so I'm only going to be coaching. I don't have very many spots left. I think maybe like 3 to 5 spots left for that. But if you want, just email me. You got my email, andrew@hallofmarketing.com. And then so let's make this ad real quick. United States, or this audience. And then whenever I do lookalike audiences, I do 5. So you go to advanced options, go to 5 lookalike audiences, and then drag and drop these down to 1 through 5%. Now, when I initially test, I do 1% and 2%. So I'll do, like, let's say on a video ad like this, I will do people that watch, well, actually this is a bad example because I would not build a lookalike audience necessarily off of people that watch 75%. If I was building a lookalike audience, I would build it. So in this scenario, what you want to do is you want to just retarget an image to just these 7,100 people. And then when you build your ad in, so I'm going to go over a couple more things. Let me cover this first. So let's say you're creating a campaign and you want to do retargeting. You can do traffic. Traffic's not a bad way to retarget people, or conversion, PPE, or traffic, I should say. Car sticker retarget. You do RT for retarget too. Okay, 1 second. So ad set. Now, if you want to do the retargeting first, especially since you only have 7,000 people, just do $1 a day, and then you can upgrade to like $3 or do the 20%. Or 20% might take a while, so you might just want to make like a second ad at $1 or a third ad at $1. But do like $1 to $3 to start out with, because your audience is only 7,000 people. Even if it's 10,000 people or 100,000 people, your audience is still pretty small, and so you don't want to be spending a bunch of money on your retargeting ad, because the cost is going to be too high, because Facebook's going to force feed it down people's throats, and you're going to be paying more than what you want to optimize for. So when you're retargeting, and your custom audience dynamically updates. So as more people are watching your video, do you still have your PPE ad going or your video view ad going? I would do one of each for a video view, and a PPE ad. The PPE will get the likes, shares, and views. The video views campaign objective is more about longevity of how long they watch your video for. So in your I would do one of each, but for your retarget, your custom audience dynamically updates. So as long as you still have your campaigns running for your video views, your custom audience is going to be getting bigger and bigger, and as it gets bigger and bigger, you can increase your budget on your retargeting ad. And then, where are we? For custom audience right here, you do the 75% and say this is a worldwide video and people all over the world have seen it. Well, in here, you just do United States, or whatever country it is that you want. Just don't target worldwide again on your custom audience. Now, for a custom audience, if you want to build a lookalike audience based off your videos, I would not do 75%, because it's a lookalike audience. So 75%, it doesn't mean that they're buying it. That just means that they're watching 75%. Now, there's a good chance that they're interested in your product. That's why we're going to retarget them. But for our lookalike audience, we want to do even a better video. So we're going to do customer file, or nope, I'm sorry, back. We're going to do engagement video. Then we're going to do same thing, but we're going to do 95%. That's a extremely engaged person. Now, there might not be that many. There might only be 100. But 100 seed audience of 100 is a decent amount for a lookalike audience. Minimum is 20. Generally, I like at least 100, but you take what you can get sometimes. So 95% watch car stickers. Where am I missing? Oh, choose videos, that's why. Now you got 95%. Now watch what happens here. I'll show you how to build a lookalike audience, but I just want to, this might take a minute to populate. Sometimes it can take up to an hour. Those videos are old, so it should have data fairly fast. But so this size is probably a lot less than 7,100. I don't want to take a guess, but I'm gonna guess. I said I don't want to take a guess, but I'm gonna guess anyways. Probably only like a few thousand. So we're gonna do a lookalike audience now. Choose 95%, and then And you can even do people that just interacted with any post on your page too. There's so many lookalike audiences that you can build out. We'll do a full day on that one day, full training. Then we're just going to do, so on this one, yeah, so this one, this is the lookalike audience, so now we do United States, and then we do 5%, or 5 audiences, I should say. And then for your first ad, what you want to do is you want to do a 1% and a 2% audience size of, you want to test 1% versus 2%. And then you could even do like a, you could look at your demographics to see what's most popular, and then you could do a 2 to 4% audience, which is 4.2 million people, but then you lower the demographics. Maybe you only go age 25 to 42 because that's the best converting demographic, and then maybe you only do females. And then your 4.2 million audience just jumped down to 1.3 million, and now you have a highly targeted audience based on demographics and a lookalike audience, even though it's a 2 to 4% lookalike audience compared to a 0 to 1% or a 1 to 2% audience. So we're going to build all 5 right there. And now we have that audience. And then you would just target them, and that's only US, so even and you can choose multiple countries, but that's what's nice is, like, let's say you're only targeting US buyers and you've gotten a lot of sales in the US. Let's say you're a brick and mortar store and you have a huge email list or a huge phone number list or whatever. Well, let's say you build a lookalike audience based off your email list, and then let's say now you're trying to branch out to Canada. Well, then you just build a lookalike audience just in Canada based off all your data in the US, and Facebook will still be able to find buyers in Canada that look like the buyers that you have already attained in the United States. And lookalike audience is really where it comes in. There's a lot of really cool features. It's a snowball effect. I look at online space as a snowball effect. At first, it's really hard to get that snowball going. But as you start building all your assets, your pixels, your email list, the data that you have, your products, you have ads that have already been running for 3 months and they're winning. Well, you have so much data at that point that you might have 10,000 page likes. I know on my page with 10,000 page likes, I could just put an ad out, and I knew that even if the ad sucked or even if the product sucked and it didn't do well anywhere else, it wasn't just going to sell to the people that liked my page because I already had 2,000 buyers on that page. I probably had 5,000 add to carts on that page. Well, they're already customers. It's much easier to get somebody to buy your product if they've already spent money with you the first time. It's the hardest thing in the world is to get that first sale. Once you have that first sale, it's much easier to get the second, the third, the fourth sale because they've already trusted you enough to buy that first product. Just like a cold audience versus a warm audience. If somebody's added a cart but they haven't bought your product, I would rather show my product to somebody that had already added it to cart and is so close to buying. We already know that they like the product enough to at least look at the shipping information. Maybe that's just what they wanted to see. And so just like retargeting, if somebody's watched 75% of your video, they've already seen your page. And so seeing your page a second time is a little bit more comfortable. Now, if you're selling a $1,000 product, if you're selling a high-end coaching product, many times on Facebook, you might need to show 3 different videos to somebody and retarget them multiple times in order to get them to trust you to buy a $1,000 product, because it's not just a $20 drop shipping product. It's not like it's like with selling a car. Like when I sold cars, it wasn't a 5-minute train. They didn't just come in and just do the paperwork. No, I would spend hours with them. And then if I treated them correctly and they liked me, then they would send their friends and their family to come buy off me. And it was much easier to sell their friends and family a car after they already got a recommendation from that first family member. Just like in the Power Editor, you can target right here, add a connection type, Facebook pages, friends of people who liked your page. If you've ever seen that on Facebook before, hey, George liked this page, maybe you do too. And that's the power of Facebook is, okay, well, my friend liked this page, so maybe it's something funny. Maybe I should stop on this and actually check out this video because they like this video. Maybe I'm going to like this video too. You trust your friends more than a stranger. And so you can target based on friends of people who like your page, which is really cool. And then you can even just do people who like your page, or in the custom audiences. Yeah, we'll do a whole I can talk for hours about lookalike audiences, but we'll do a whole session on that. Maybe that'll be our next session, but I like to get ideas from you guys to know what you guys are struggling with right now so that we can get results for you as soon as possible instead of you having to wait till the last episode to get what you need. I'm going to cover all the material. I'm going to get to it all, but I'd rather there's no particular order to any of it. So as long as other than the set up a page and set up your business manager, but as long as you want me to do something, if you have a request, I would love to do one of your topics and get what you need right away. Especially if you're not in the coaching and you're just in the training, then that way this is how you're going to get success. So I want to make sure that I provide good training for you. If you're doing the coaching calls, when we do our 30-minute coaching calls, we can cover whatever you want, whatever it is you're struggling with, whatever it is you want help with. My time is yours. You own me for our phone call, so we can go over whatever you want. We can just chat and hang out if you want. Whatever you want to talk about, we will discuss. So I want to answer some questions. It says you mentioned on one webinar that you test 20 products per week. How do you vary the different audiences versus products? So it depends. Some of my clients, they like one client, he has a music. He does music, and so most of our products have to do with music, but I still alternate the audience based on like a drum product versus like a saxophone versus a novelty product versus like piano. And so even though he's a brand and he likes music, there's still multiple audiences that I use for music. But eventually, once you get enough purchases, you should be able to just use your lookalike audiences unless you're testing out a new niche. And once you can just use lookalike audiences, it's really, really powerful to be able to do that. Did you say 3 calls? No, so you Parody. So you get as many calls as you want for the coaching. You can do as many calls as you want for the coaching. It's as long as you want. The only reason I said 3 calls is because I have one student and he is a go-getter. He is about it. He's always he's very on top of everything. Very on top of everything. And he's a pilot. And he's very dialed. So he scheduled about 7 phone calls with me, and I approved 3 of them because I want to make sure everyone in the coaching has availability. And so you can schedule up to 3 calls at a time, but as soon as we're done with that first call, you can go in there and schedule your 3rd call again. And if there's a slot open for 3 days, we could literally have calls every day. It's a first come first serve type of basis, but I'm not going to be coaching a bunch of people because I don't want you to have to wait a week to be able to talk to me on the phone. That is what I don't want. I don't want, like my tattoo artist, if I want to get a tattoo, I have to wait 3 months to get a tattoo. That's not how this coaching is going to work. So the max time that you should have to wait, 7 days should be like the worst at all, and that's if it's like the busiest week. And right now it is Christmas time, so it is a little bit busy. But right now the turnaround time, if you wanted to schedule a coaching call with me, you can get in within 72 hours for a new call. I do weekend calls too. There's not as many times open for the weekend, but you can still get in for the weekend. And so whatever you guys want to do, but yeah, we can do as many calls as you want for coaching there. They'll be about 30 minutes each, but sometimes they go over. I just want to make sure that I get to everyone and that everyone gets the time that they deserve, because I don't want to not be able to deliver because I have too many clients. So that's one thing that I'm managing right now, and that's why I tend to work on a calendar, and I like to line everything up so that I do make sure that I have time in my day to launch ads and then do webinars and then coach people and then be able to also try to live a life too. And so, but yeah, as many calls as you want. So does anyone have any questions about anything that I covered today? Otherwise, I'm probably going to end here, and then this video will be in the replay center in the members area within about 24 hours. I just got to upload and then re-upload and then download, and you know how it goes. So yeah, so does anyone have any questions? Otherwise, I'm going to hop off of here, and then yeah, and if you want the coaching, let me just put my email in here. This is my personal email. And since you've already bought the 497 course, I can get you in for, if you just want to pay $300 more, you can pay $300 and then you can do 2 more payments of 797 for the coaching. That way, just for 300 bucks more, you can at least get me on the phone call a few times, or maybe even 10 times before your next payment comes along. And then that way you can still have some money allocated for testing, because you don't want to, you got to be able to launch some ads still. Or just a $14.97 one payment, and we'll get you into the coaching. And that offer is going to only be available to you guys. My coaching is going up to $27.97 total, and that includes the training too. But I'm raising because I just don't have enough. I have to start raising it because so many people are buying it at the $19.97 that I need to make sure I have time for everyone. So as I get busier, the price starts to go up. But I want to make sure, like I said, that you guys don't have to wait a week just to get me on the call, because with Facebook, things happen on the daily, and that's what's cool about Facebook, is that you can constantly switch stuff. So you always have access to, you have my phone number, so you can text me, and that's the best way to get a hold of me. If you just have a quick question that I can shoot a quick answer to, or in the group, maybe somebody else can help you out, or I periodically check that. I check my texts a lot more often, because I have my phone sitting in front of me all the time. But yeah, so no problem, Parady. If anyone has any questions, just let me know. How long are the coaching sessions for? Any period, like 12 months, forever? So I was like, initially, I'm hoping that you're going to be able to have enough, get enough knowledge in 90 days. I didn't put a time frame on it because you're paying me money to coach you, so I want to make sure that you get successful from it. And then I want to build a team of other people that know how to do this, so that maybe you can teach me something eventually, because we all only have so much time in the day. So we all, over time, if we're all doing this for 6 months, a year, a couple years, we're all going to be learning different strategies and coming up with new stuff. Ideally, I want you guys to have enough success in 90 days after the coaching, but I could do it for 12 months if you want. And if it takes however long it takes us for you to get successful, is how long I want, and I want to build relationships with you guys. So I just want everyone to be successful, and so whatever it takes for you to be successful, you get 30-minute coaching calls, as much as you want, and until you're successful. So or until you get sick of talking to me. So yeah, forever, 12 months, 3 months. I haven't put a time frame on it yet, just because I don't want you to pay me and then we do coaching calls for 3 months or 30 days, and then you're like, hey, and then I just say, bye, see you later, hope you have success, cross your fingers. That's not the kind of guy I am. So I want to make sure that you're successful however long that takes, and everyone has their own learning curve on this type of stuff. So, and maybe you have a 50-hour work week job and you only can do this an hour a day. So everyone's a little bit different. So you guys have a great rest of your day. Shoot me an email, shoot me a text, or post in the group if you have any questions. Talk to you guys later. I'll get this uploaded.